Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are rediving deep into a fault code that can be a real head-scratcher for many technicians and DIY enthusiasts. P007A. Grab your scan tool, and let's get into it. P007A stands for Charge Air Cooler Temperature Sensor Circuit. At its core, this code tells you that the Powertrain Control Module, or PCM, has detected a problem with the signal coming from the temperature sensor on your charge air cooler. This sensor is crucial, especially on turbocharged or supercharged engines. Its job is to measure the temperature of the air asterisk. After asterisk, it has been compressed by the turbo or supercharger and cooled by the intercooler right before it enters the engine. Why is this temperature so important? Well, cooler, denser air means more oxygen, which allows the engine to burn more fuel and make more power efficiently. The PCM uses the data from the P007A sensor to fine-tune the air-fuel mixture and ignition timing for optimal performance and emissions. If the signal is irrational, missing, or stuck, the PCM gets confused and flags the P007A code. So, what are the common symptoms you might experience? The most obvious one is the check engine light illuminating your dashboard. Beyond that, you might notice a significant drop in engine performance. Your car might feel sluggish, lack acceleration, or have reduced boost. You could also see a decrease in fuel economy, as the engine is no longer running in its most efficient state. In some cases, the engine might even go into a limp mode to protect itself from potential damage. Now, let's talk about the causes. What triggers this P007A code? It's not always a bad sensor. The issue could be as simple as a loose or corroded electrical connector. Over time, vibrations and exposure to the elements can wreak havoc on these connections. Another common culprit is damaged wiring. A wire could be frayed, shorted to ground, or have an open circuit somewhere between the sensor and the PCM. This is especially common if recent work has been done in the engine bay. Of course, the sensor itself could have failed. These sensors live in a harsh environment and can fail internally over time. It's also possible, though less common, for the charge air cooler itself to be restricted or blocked. If air isn't flowing through it properly, it can't cool the air effectively, which might lead to an unusual temperature reading that the PCM flags as a fault. Finally, in very rare instances, the problem could lie within the PCM itself, but you should always rule out everything else first. Alright, let's move on to diagnostics. How do we pinpoint the exact cause of P007A? First, a visual inspection is key. Look at the sensor, its connector, and the wiring harness. Do you see any obvious signs of damage, like melted wires, green corrosion on the pins, or a connector that's not fully seated? Check for any dirt or debris blocking the charge air cooler. Next, you'll want to use a good scan tool that can display live data. Look at the reading for the charge air cooler temperature sensor. Does the reading make sense? For example, with a cold engine that's been sitting overnight, its reading should be very close to the ambient air temperature and the intake air temperature. If it's stuck at a very high or very low value, like -40 degrees, that's a big red flag pointing to a circuit or sensor issue. If the live data looks suspicious, it's time to test the circuit. Unplug the sensor. Most of these are 2-wire sensors that get a 5-volt reference and a ground from the PCM. With the key on, you can use a multimeter to check for that 5-volt reference at the connector. If it's missing, you have a wiring problem or a PCM issue. If the reference voltage is good, you can test the sensor itself. You can check its resistance and see if it changes when you gently heat it with a heat gun. Compare your readings to the manufacturer's specifications. If the resistance doesn't change or is out of spec, you've found your bad sensor. Replacing the sensor is usually straightforward. It's often threaded into the charge air cooler or its piping. Just be sure to let the engine cool down completely before you start. Once you've replaced the faulty parts, whether it was the sensor, a piece of wiring, or just cleaning a connector, clear the codes with your scan tool and take the vehicle for a test drive. Make sure the check engine light stays off and monitor the live data again to confirm the sensor is reading correctly. And that's a comprehensive look at diagnosing and fixing the P007A fault code. It might seem intimidating, but with a logical approach, you can track down the problem and get your engine running right again. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more diagnostic tips and tricks. Let us know in the comments if you've ever dealt with this code before. See you in the next one.